Good morning, YouTube. There are a lot of people out there that are anti-tech and they'll never buy an EV, but we've discovered that Neelix is definitely anti-tech.
Oh, it's so sad. Yeah, Jake got us a little tracker when we're out of town just to make sure she doesn't wander off too far. Last time we went out of town, she got chased out by a raccoon. And,
yes. So now we'll know everywhere she goes thanks to an AirTag, but she is very depressed at the moment, just sitting and acting all depressed because of this collar on her. So, speaking of depressed, Fisker owners, very, very depressed right now, especially if they were one of the first people to buy them. And Edmunds, one of the biggest names in car reviewing, has a headline out saying, "Do not buy a Fisker Ocean," which I don't think any reviewer has ever just outright said,
Right.
Don't buy this.
Right. I feel like, are you going to get in trouble for saying that? Or is it time, like it's finally 2024, we're going to be honest about everything we do and there's no backdoor person paying you to write reviews? Like, is this a real review?
Well, they bought one for their press fleet, one of the very first ones. They paid a little over $60,000 for it. And it was bugs after issues, after more bugs, after more issues. And then there was a major software update. And it fixed some of them, but not all of them.
Right.
In the meantime, all these early adopters who bought the cars had to deal with all these problems. Then the new software update fixed some of the problems. Marquise Brownlee did a video basically tanking the car as well. And Fisker is now on life support. Their stock has tanked.
Yes.
But also what has tanked is the prices on the cars. Just to move inventory. They're now pricing these things starting at $25,000.
What?
Down from, $59,000.
What? That's crazy. I was excited about the Fisker Ocean when it was coming out, and what would you call it? The concepts? Not the concept, but the look of it before it actually came to fruition with the whole solar panels on the top that almost looked like a Pac-Man game, and it just, I'm like, yeah, that's a great concept. If you live on the equator pretty much, then you can charge your car from the sun.
Right, they show that it doesn't really charge all that much, but it actually does charge the car. It doesn't work some weird accessory like the previous Fisker or like my box. So it actually does the job, but not that much.
Yeah, it's still a little tricky. I think it's hard to store any sort of electrical charge after the battery's already full, but that would be a fantastic thing. They could figure it out.
Right. Well, they can't figure the car out. So designed by Henrik Fisker. This guy did many beautiful cars, Aston Martins, the BMW Z8, the original Fisker Karma, which I recently bought, and I'm dealing with similar issues to the new Fisker. For those who haven't seen my Fisker saga, I thought, well, why don't I follow the Marquise Brownlee method, only with the hoopty version of the Fisker by buying the very first one, the Karma, which was only out for a single year. They made about 2,000 cars before the battery supplier for them went bankrupt.
Right.
And it's a plug-in hybrid that looks really good. Apparently,
it looks really, really cool.
Henrik Fisker also consulted on the styling of the Model S. And I was reading, I'm not sure if this is exactly right, but he got sued or got in trouble because he made the Fisker so pretty and then made the Tesla sort of bland looking.
Right. Well, you can't just blame one single person. I'm sure there's whole boardrooms of people saying, yes, no, here's this, body line, yes, no. So.
Yeah, but he was, I guess, consulted, but then didn't say that he was making his own car with his name. Came out right at the same time. Of course, Tesla went on to be a runaway success. And Fisker, 1 year, bankrupt, 2,000 cars, but it's a plug-in hybrid, so it has the 4-cylinder eco-tech from the car you love so much, the HHR SS panel.
No. Oh no.
So that is a generator that acts for basically the battery system of the car. So it's not really an engine transmission type of thing. It is a battery type system with a generator attached to it since it's a plug-in hybrid. So about 50 miles of electric range, I think top speed about 70 miles an hour before the motor kicks on. Or you can put it in sport mode and have both, have it combined about 400 horsepower, which isn't bad, but it's such a heavy car that it really doesn't. I mean, you rode in it briefly. What'd you think?
I love it. I think it sounds really cool. It almost sounds like a spaceship. Like there's a different tone, like a higher pitch, but not an annoying high pitch to it. So it's really beautiful when it's driving down because it doesn't sound like any other car on the road. And of course, it's stunning and beautiful. I remember though, when we went to go pick it up and we're driving down these like really shady back alleys in, what were we in, Florida?
Right.
In Palm Beach area. But like,
Fort Lauderdale.
In Fort Lauderdale area. And we're pulling up and there's all these locked gates and stuff. And I'm just kind of nervous for you to walk in there by yourself because it was a little seedy, it was a little sketchy, and it was late at night.
Well, I bought it on Bring a Trailer, actually. It didn't sell to the person who outbid me, and they came back to me. He said, I don't know why this guy didn't buy it, but he flaked out. Do you want it for your bid? And I said, I don't know. Well, how about a little bit less since there's the fees? Okay, fine.
Right.
I'll do it. So I bought it for about $20,000 and only 16,000 miles. I go to pick up the car, and the owner's not there. It's someone who works for the owner. He's out of the country, the owner of the car. And the guy who's giving it to me, he knows nothing about the car. He doesn't know how to turn it on. He doesn't know how to put it in drive. He knows nothing about it. So I can't get the climate control to go. I can barely get the thing to move. And I'm like, am I just really stupid? So flipping through the owner's manual, trying to figure out. Well, it turns out the climate control is completely bricked. And the touchscreen is so laggy and so stupid. There's other issues as well. The check engine light was on, all this stuff. I texted the guy who I was communicating with, and he said, all sales are final. Well, I was just asking if you knew about the... So, of course, no returning the car. All these non-disclosed issues. They were just happy to broom this off on somebody or anybody. I got a turd dumped on me,
I love that there's a printed out manual, because I don't know if there's like a physical manual, but there's just pages and pages. And so we're sitting at this sushi restaurant, and you're reading this car manual just over and over, looking for some little trick to kind of get this AC to work. And then he looked up a Doug DeMuro video.
I watched the Doug video to make sure that I was doing it correctly. I also texted the guy who texted the owner. The owner never replied to any of my requests, any of my questions, nothing. It was just like, sorry, sucker, ha ha ha, which is about 3/4 of my Florida car buying experience is basically getting screwed in a very similar fashion.
You gotta say he knew. There's probably tons of bugs with it, and he was so happy to just let it go and get rid of it.
Well, they call the Fiskers the diva for the reason, and I tried a hard reset. I've tried all the things that people do, but apparently the place to take it is in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
There's a guy who restores these, makes them usable, and then ships them back, but that's $1,000 out, $1,000 back, and hopefully the car wizard can figure it out.
You think he's going to be able to?
I hope so. So I don't have to pay $2,000 every time I want it fixed. But imagine if you have the new Fisker in the beginning of the year. You're so excited. You're one of the first people to have the Fisker Ocean. It's beautiful.
It is cool.
You lose $40,000 in value immediately from Fisker slashing their own prices, because Tesla has slashed prices on their cars and cut 10% of their workforce. So EVs is across the board of who's going to be next. Who's going to be the next Fisker? And Fisker's issue is they don't have a billionaire behind it to really keep things going. I guess Tesla doesn't need Elon's money at all. It has all the Tesla fanatics, and the stock price is still super high. But there's the others. There's Vinfast. That's the Vietnamese one, which has a billionaire in Vietnam backing it, who just recently had to give another $1 billion to keep the company going. They rolled out in the U.S. in 2022. Did you know this?
No.
See, nobody knows. There's actually a dealer in Wichita that is selling Vinfast.
So Vinfast is its own company, its own car.
A car called the Vinfast. Yes, it slipped past everybody, but yes, it's a Vietnamese electric car that is being sold in the United States that obviously hasn't gained very much traction yet. Then there's Lucid that is losing money hand and foot. Cannot make money selling even what they have. But once again, a billionaire, this time from Saudi Arabia, giving another $1 billion to keep this company afloat, keep it going.
So the moral of the story is you need to have a billionaire in your back pocket.
Okay. Well, and then there's Ford, which is his own giant company, doesn't need a billionaire behind it, obviously a big publicly traded company, but they're delaying all of their electric vehicle launches, and supposedly they're losing $100,000 on every EV that they sell when it comes to recouping their R&D, recouping everything else. Like, they are so far behind, and once again, they have had to slash prices on their Mach-E, the Mustang Mach-E, to get it sold. The Lightning pickup trucks, which I had some interesting stuff with. Yeah, well, it's an interesting story that we'll see what happens in the next 5 years, I feel like. Everyone's like, oh, we're going to go all electric in the next 5 years, but we'll see if it's just a trend, if it's going to stick. But if you do want to buy a Fisker Ocean, even though Edmunds is telling you not to and you're a total crazy person, the best place to look is on Auto Tempest, because it combines all the major listing sites into one search. And when you go on Auto Tempest, because it's casts such a wide net, there are a lot of Fisker Oceans for sale because people want to dump them or dealers trying to sell them. And I'm not seeing any for $25,000 like they're saying in the Edmunds article, but I am seeing a lot in the mid to low 30s, and there are a lot for sale. There are a lot sitting for sale. Oh no.
Wow.
For a brand new car,
Yeah.
there are a lot of listings. We've gone through so far Cars.com, Carvana, eBay, TrueCar. It's hundreds and hundreds of them for sale, but Auto Tempest makes it easy for me to look and research this because it combines all those listings into one search. If you're really looking for something in particular, Auto Tempest is really good to cast a wide net like that. And use Auto Tempest because they sponsor Good Morning YouTube. Thanks so much for that, Auto Tempest. And so many other car YouTubers. So support a brand that supports us. It is linked below, and tell your friends about Auto Tempest if they're shopping for a used car. So apparently, if you want to lose a whole lot of money, get into selling electric cars.
That sounds about right.
Nobody is making money. Even Tesla, they're very overvalued stock that's valued more than General Motors or something like that.
Right.
They're really not making a whole lot of money.
No.
There's no winning in this. So
Well,
it's
hopefully
interesting.
soon we'll kind of get over this hump of trying to figure it out. They've been trying to figure out electric cars for almost over 100 years now, and now it's go time. Let's do this.
Or it's time to pull it back. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. It's like how I run my YouTube channel. It's like electric cars running their business. It's very weird, but in my case, I can make videos to make up for the losses. Like people building cars that bankrupt them.
Yeah.
That's not enough to make a YouTube channel out of. So, interesting. I could be a CEO of a EV company.
Yeah, you could be the next Fisker.